Kreischer from the San Francisco Chronicle. I'm just curious, your take. People talk about the culture of the Warriors. How would you describe the culture of the Warriors, and how do you think it helped get through? I know you weren't here these last 2 years, but sort of help get back to where you guys are now.
I think it starts with, your core and, what they embody in terms of their personality, their work ethic, their values. And, you got Steph Curry, you got Draymond Green, and you got Klay Thompson. And I think Andrew Wiggins hasn't been included into the fold as much as he should have. But I think that says a lot about him, not letting that, because that's who he is. He's just a more reserved, quiet guy, so it doesn't bother him, but I think he understands his importance. But just those personalities can really build a culture. And then, you just start with Steph being the first one here. Everything he embodies with his values and who he is as a person, his work ethic, and he's kind of sets the tone for everyone else. We talked about this over the last 8-9 years, however long it's been. We've been able to bring in guys from all walks of life, whether they've been superstars or other guys who are reserve roles, guys who had to change their roles throughout their careers, and how they just enter and got into the culture seamlessly with no bumps in the road, and they just really enjoyed being a part of this. So very, very welcoming culture, very carefree, but when you see the work that's put in behind closed doors, you get the best of both worlds. So it's just a special place that, Steph has built the foundation on.
Second row on the right.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. 2 years ago when we left the bubble, I think there were 7 black coaches in the league.
Mm-hmm.
There's 15, Darvin's hiring makes it 15 right now, the most ever at one time. I want to ask you how important that is to you, how important that is to players, and what does that say just about, a league that said representation matters seems to actually be following up on those words with the way the hiring has gone the last year or so?
Yeah, well, I think it's you've seen some success as well, and then we haven't had our those narratives that put us in a bad light. I've been through part of my career, which is early on. A lot of the former players who got opportunities, who are African American, if it didn't quite go their way, that narrative was really drawn out, and it was really hard for them to get more than one opportunity. So it was either, their only opportunity was make or break. You had to overachieve, or you never got the opportunity again, and no one really talked about that. And, just kind of how the headlines looked when you portray, black coaches historically hasn't been in a fair light. And where the other side, you had that term, the good old boys club, where you just recycling the same names over and over again. And similar, that's, NCAA is essentially that right now. So it's really good to see the coaches. I think Tyrone Lue has done an incredible job of kind of silencing those critics in terms of, he's a very welcoming type of coach, players coach, but he knows his stuff and his X and O's, and he's probably one of the most feared coaches in the leagues in terms of when an opposing team goes up against him, their antenna goes up in terms of the scout, and you rarely see that type of energy towards the opposing coach in terms of, like, we're nowhere in for a tough game, because no matter who's playing for his team, they're going to be able to rise to the occasion, and they're going to expose your weaknesses. And I think it got rid of, can an ex-player, succeed without having that analytical background, and that's a whole nother story in terms of what analytics is.
First row on the left.
I was wondering, to what extent do you think this current group has been able to mirror kind of the strength in numbers identity from the previous teams, and what's kind of jumped out to you with both the successes and growing pains through that process?
Yeah, well, I think Steve's always been a big proponent of giving guys opportunities to go out there and show their skill set, and his background as a player coming off the bench. And coming off the bench can be difficult, especially with your confidence. And this is a league, confidence can make or break you actually having a job, or how long you actually your playing career can be. and I think he's understood that, and he's giving guys opportunities and giving them a chance to really show what they can do. And you know, sometimes it works well for you, sometimes it works against for you, but historically it's worked really well for him. And we've used pretty much everybody on our roster throughout the year in terms of giving them some good minutes. Obviously, injuries played a role in that, but everyone's had the opportunity. You know, you had Kuminga, who's coming in as, you know, highly touted rookie, and Moses Moody kind of played in the background of that and was trying to figure out his career. And then, you know, you get a complete 360 in the last series where Moses Moody gave us some incredible minutes, played great. His demeanor and his, you know, he's very stoic in the way he carries himself and not getting too high or getting too low. And his attention to detail, and only being 19 years old, just turned 20, yesterday? And just the way he's been able to handle himself at such a young age has been incredible. And then you just go down the line, you know, Otto being big for us, Belly having his spurts throughout the year. Damian Lee has had, you know, he feels that energy that people put around him, and I think he's been able to prove himself as a NBA player, being able to contribute, and he's gave us some very solid playoff minutes. And you can just go down the line. Everybody's had the opportunity. You can go to Quindary Weatherspoon and the energy and the excitement he's given us in practice. And Juan has been amazing for us in the scout team, and even giving us, he'll get in for 20 seconds in the Dallas series, and he did exactly what we told him to do. And then now Steve was like, okay, I got another guy I can trust. He's ready in the series. So just been able to go big, go small. And, you know, people always forget about Looney, and they always, he had a great game. But this is the Loon we've seen since his rookie year. So it's kind of been a stable for Steve, and being able to use different guys and play them to their strengths.
Second row on the left.
Hey, Andre, two questions. Ann Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. First, how are you feeling, and how optimistic are you about playing in this series?
You know, just trying to finish the season walking on 2 feet. If I do that, it's a successful season. You know, you go back to my goals coming back. You know, and it's similar to my sentiments when I first signed with the team in 2013 or 14? 13. And, you know, it was the same thing, get us back to where we're supposed to be. And we've gotten back here, huge accomplishment, but, you know, it doesn't stop here for either team. So, you know, just doing everything I need to do around the clock. It's been an interesting year with my body, but been using my brain a lot and understanding that's a big part of the, you know, knitting that fabric, and the fabric is who we are and what we put on the floor, and I know I play a big role in that. So just understanding that you can have an impact in a myriad of different ways, and just being ready in any way that I've been asked. So if it's on the court, and hopefully it is, and just got to be ready and just keep hoping for it, being optimistic with everything that's going on with the body.
Also, you were the old guy with the three youngsters when you guys started out on the dynasty run. How do you see the three of them now that they're grown men, and how, from your perspective, how has the journey changed for them?
Yeah, well, I think they've done an incredible job of all maximizing their careers. And when you look back historically, you know, everyone who's done it this long was expected to, in terms of their talent level. And all three of those guys weren't, you know, the top 2, top 5, top 10 ranked high school players. You know, they weren't the top 5 picks in the draft. They had to go to school for, you know, 3-4 years, which is unheard of in these times. And for them to be able to stay at that level, that like the highest of the highest level for this long, it's hard for them to understand the magnitude of it because of all the constant just darts being thrown their way and constantly being knocked down. But that's the capitalistic mindset of everything that's around the game that has nothing to do with the game. And then, you know, you just got to take it all in stride. And I think they've done an incredible job of not letting it break them. Because most guys who aren't accustomed to that type of pressure and those types of expectations, it can break those guys that never had to go through it before they got here. And they got here and just took the NBA. Like, they really, you know, they put an NBA on a chokehold. Nobody's really talking about that, and it's an incredible thing that those three guys have been able to do.
In the middle here.
Andrew Wiggins has obviously had a great season, but what do you think about how he's been playing this postseason and just what he's been able to do? And some would say, prove some people wrong just because of his reputation that he built up.
Yeah, well, Wiggins is one of those guys who has been the chosen one early on in his life, and he's had to go through a lot, and he's one of those guys I'm happiest for because people have always tried to paint the picture that he didn't pan out how they thought he would, and that's the other side of the sports aspect where other people's expectations can paint this interesting picture of a person. You know what I mean? We were just talking about it with the black coaches, and he's done everything he's supposed to do in terms of a basketball player. He's reached the pinnacle. So anyone that's try to have a knock on him, he's proved them all wrong. And he's playing at a really high level, and he's understanding the opportunity, and he's making the most of it. And Draymond said it many times. We never hold certain organizations accountable. I'm not talking about Minnesota per se, but certain environments really are detrimental for really great young talent, and they may never cultivate that talent because of the situation they're in, and it's always the kid's fault. And he's coming out 19, 20-year-old. I think he got traded on draft night, right? Or he got traded right before Summer League. Just going through the madness of the NBA world before his career even started. It can weigh on you, and so for him to be able to continue to be who he is, great individual, and getting the opportunity to really showcase the skill sets. And he's always had the respect with the players, and I think he's starting to get the respect from others. And the good part about him is the respect from others doesn't matter to him, and he just goes about his day.
Last question up front.
Andre, Young Masagi, ESPN. Two quick questions. One is, as a veteran and mentor that you are, what do you hope Kuminga and Moody get out of an experience like this early in the stage of their career? Because it's rare that two lottery picks have made the finals in their first year. Yeah,
well, we expect kids to just take the world when we say they're supposed to. You know what I mean? Like they're 19-year-old kids. Historically, they aren't supposed to take on everything that comes with being in the finals. Like they're supposed to be on college campuses, learning about themselves, learning who they are as people, learning what they like, learning what they don't like, instead of each guy's making $5+ million a year. He's got all the pressures of the madness of having money and being in the spotlight, and then you can become jaded. And then you can start taking these things for granted, and it's not their fault. I'm guilty of it, just being in the finals so many times where I feel nothing. I just know it's my job to go out and win. So, there's really no joy in it. It's just going to work and trying to get them to understand, like, you really want to just soak up everything that is here. Like, take pictures. Like, I have some finals I went to, I have no memorabilia. I don't even remember it. And I look back and be like, I wish I would have did this or I would have did that. So just kind of giving them feedback there. They both work hard. They both put in the work, but just making sure that they enjoy the moment and understand that this isn't a given. And it's really, really hard to get here.
Thank you, Andre.